Hello, Kansas City. Welcome to another wonderful day out there. I'm excited to have another opportunity to host this wonderful show we're calling Life After. And Life After is a show where we reach out and find some students who have come from our schools and have that conversation with them about what their path was like just right after high school, kind of how they knew what to do, and really what happened from there. A lot of times when we're in school, we might think differently about the next moves we're going to make unless we've heard about some opportunities or some people have kind of started a pathway for us. So that's kind of one of the intentional goals, if you're watching today, is to think about your own path while you hear about our fantastic guest. Welcome, Maurice Greene.
Hey, how's it going?
So Maurice, I remember you well, sir. You're one of the students that comes back in my mind when I think about the true artistry and performance nature that really took hold at Paseo while I worked there. Tell us what year you graduated and what you remember kind of that stands out today about that year while you were kind of finishing up your days at Paseo.
I graduated in 2009. A lot of people don't know, like I was going through a lot personally that senior year. Like I was kind of homeless. I was actually staying at one of my other friends. They had like a vacant apartment. They let me sleep in there, and I was walking to school every day. Like people didn't know that.
Wow.
I was just happy to be able to graduate and finish it up.
Right.
But I was a creative writing major. You were my teacher. I really enjoyed that class more than anything. I loved writing and doing poetry and expressing myself. So I appreciate that.
Yeah. And you're still doing some of that today. I mean, I think, yeah, so am I. I know it wasn't just like a gimmick or a trick either. I have to do it to stay me and to stay sane and to stay okay. So what are you dabbling in these days, I guess, that's still doing writing since you went all the way there? We can just jump ahead to that question.
Well, I'm a songwriter first, and then I do music myself. I rap. I write for singers. We have a recording studio now on 18th and Vine called Brainchild Studios. So I'm still able to express myself through creative writing. And I think I'm gonna take it to the next level next year.
Fantastic. Well, let's explore that a little bit more. But let's go back to this crazy moment that I remember so well, and I think other people probably do in their own lives, is after high school. Kind of take us back to those moments that you remember, and what did you do right after high school, and what moves did you make, or how did you know what moves to make?
So from sixth grade, I was in that Kaufman Scholars Program. So I was basically being groomed to go to college fresh out of high school. But my senior year, like I said, it was pretty rough, and something happened with my transcripts. So every college that I applied to, they said they didn't receive my transcripts. So I ended up opting to try to go to Penn Valley Community College. Now I heard your interview with Shaq, and you were like, "Don't just say it's just Penn Valley," but
right.
Some of our family members come at us kind of funny when like they're expecting you to go off to college and you have to kind of take a step back and go to Penn Valley Community College. Like I had an auntie that told me that was for losers. You know what I mean?
Ouch.
And, yeah. So it kind of hit my ego. So I was like juggling going to community college and working a job and paying rent and all that good stuff. I ended up dropping out and just doing something else. College really wasn't for me though. I don't think college is for everybody. And it's a different day and age now where you really don't have to go to college. If you don't want to, you can still make a good living.
Sure. Young people listening, you might not know, but maybe generations ago, it was just thought that if you went into all the student loan debt that, you know, it would be worth it. And sometimes people probably spent a lot of their years after they got out of that spending all their money toward what it cost for them to go through their college program. So we're rethinking some of those things, and you can hear in our country discussions around community college being for everyone, and that. So yeah, that's what I would have told Shaq is it's still school, and
Yeah, yeah.
it's still forward progress. It's still something. It's not to be knocked. So I don't know if you know Chelsea Potts, but she was now,
Mhm.
back then, she now is the dean of students at Penn Valley. So
Yep, I heard you track that, and congratulations to her. That's
right,
big.
right. So it's a valuable place in our city. Okay, so you had an experience there. You found out you were going to do something else. What did the something else become for a while or for a long time
For
or what?
for a while, it was just like surviving, just working these dead end jobs until I figured it out. And then I finally figured it out. Now I travel all around the country and I teach electronic medical record systems.
Huh.
I'm a contractor and I make a really good living, like more than I ever thought I would ever make in my life. You know
Well,
what I
wait a minute.
mean?
So that's not you just threw that word around like we all know what that means. We say
So
it again.
when you
Say it
when
again.
you it's the electronic medical records EMR system. So when you go to the doctor and they're asking you all these questions and then they might be typing in their computer, I'm teaching them how to use those systems so that they can actually document what's going on with their patients.
Wow. And so you go all over because everybody needs that all over the place.
It's hospitals and clinics all over. The VA, the DOD, they have implemented some of those systems too. So it's
Wow.
definitely just security, and you don't necessarily need a college degree.
I see.
So
What did you do to get into that line? Then you took some training, some testing, or what did it take to get in
so,
there?
so it's kind of about networking. Like I ended up networking with somebody that was a trainer, and then they taught me.
Hmm.
I took it and I just ran with it.
Very
So
cool.
I've been doing this since 2017 into 2016.
Very
Just
cool.
took it on with it.
So
Yep.
you were watching for that door and you saw one. I remember somebody told me that a long time ago, but like there'll be some doors that you can choose to go through in your life. And the trick is being ready to go through them when you find them. So,
Yeah, and you just can't be complacent. Like some people, like if they choose not to go to college, they'll take a job and then they'll just stay there for 25, 30 years of their life. And that's their ceiling. But you just got to keep looking for that opportunity.
right. Very cool. Yeah, I've read lots of things like that. And the 10-year test of what have you done since the last time you checked 10 years ago. And I read
Right.
a lot of Dr. King talking about like advancing yourself every 10 years for the good of your world, not just for yourself. So,
Yep. And now, like, it's a totally different generation from when he was alive. I think you should be doing that probably every 5 years now.
probably
Just
right, right? It's sped up so much.
yeah, exactly. It's a popcorn generation now.
Yeah, very cool. All right, so man, you're fascinating to talk to back then. All the poems I remember, and some humorous ones on stage, and the performing. Tell me about what do you remember about performing? Because I know you did Coffee House and did the poetry thing, did some collaborations, did some music. What was that like to do that back then?
It was amazing. Like it was a really good experience. I mean, when you look back at it now, you're like, dang, I sucked. but back
Oh,
then, I thought you were great. I thought I was great back then. But yeah, I love to look back and see the growth. Like I remember I wrote a poem called "When Did I Eat Corn,"
oh,
and
you're
I
gonna
believe
go
you
there.
said.
Yeah, I remember
I
that
believe
piece really.
you did, and we ended up winning that competition. So that was great. Like I appreciate you doing that for me.
Yeah, you took a chance on that one, and people went there with you. I remember it. I remember you noticing it. That like, wow, the audience is kind of into this, and I made
Hmm.
it. So
Yeah.
that's really awesome. All right, well, I appreciate you unraveling some of what it takes to work in this medical field. Has it been more intense because of recent events and the pandemic, or
Yeah,
has it
like
changed what you do?
right when things had opened back up, like they were just so strict. Like we had to wear like goggles, face mask, a mask, and then a mask on top of the mask. So you can't even really. You're telling the doctor click over there, and they're clicking here because our goggles were so foggy. But now I think it's getting better because they have that vaccine.
Yeah,
But of course, they're trying to force a lot of people to get that, so it's a lot of people quitting their job. So it's short staff, just
yeah,
like everything, like the restaurants, everything
complicated.
is short staff
It's
right now.
very, very complicated right now. I know. All right. Well,
Mhm.
lots out there for us to battle through and persevere about. And I think you've spoken to that. tell me something you remember from back then that might have served as advice to you, or something you think young people might need to hear these days, coming from someone who was young not too long ago.
Mhm.
What would you throw at them?
The best advice I could give to a young person right now would be to venture out, like actually travel outside of your little neighborhood, your city, your state. Like I went to see the Grand Canyon and it opened my mind. Like I can only imagine how different my life would have been if I would have saw it at a younger age.
Hmm.
Like it's just a whole world out there. Don't just get complacent with where you're at right now.
Awesome. I want to dig into that though, because you're the poet. What was it about the Grand Canyon? Like, what did it do to you?
It's breathtaking. Like you see pictures all the time on the internet and on a TV, but when you're actually there and you see this big space and it's just the depth of it,
Yeah,
is I don't know. Pictures just doesn't do it justice. And
yeah,
it just opened my mind like, dang, it's so many things out here that I never really knew existed until I actually started traveling and seeing it.
sure.
So
I've heard that it's very
Mhm.
spiritual, philosophic. Like, makes us feel
Yeah.
like part of the earth, the seven wonders of the world, or whatever. That,
Mhm.
yeah. So I have seen that myself. It does. We do feel like little tiny parts of a bigger system, I think.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
Very cool. All right. Well, great advice. Thank you for catching up with us. It's been great talking to you, sir. Any projects you have kind of brewing you want to let us know about so we can watch for them and support out there?
Well, all year I've done this thing called calendar series where I drop a little project every single month. Obviously it's November, so this will be my 11th project this month, and then December I'll be wrapping it up. But yeah, feel free to look up Hail Caesar calendar series, and you can literally type any month: January, February, March, April, May, etc., and you can find those little projects.
Nice.
Thanks
All
for
right.
having me.
Yeah. Thank you for being here. Life After KCPS is about students and their paths after they graduate from high school. My name is Chris Odam, and I'm excited to do these shows. So if you ever want to think about coming on here, please reach out to me. I work for Kansas City Public Schools. I would love you to come on and tell your story so we can hear about your path. Thanks so much. Have a great day. Thank you, Maurice.